Okay, so you guys had really loved the idea of me doing full story videos, right? But also, you kind of show a lot of love with the Nightwing early day full story video. And so I kind of want to continue our coverage over Nightwing solo series because in the 1990s, when it came to DC Comics, Batman was everywhere. Batman, Robin, Catwoman, Nightwing, but also because it was Nightwing now having his own Gotham City and trying his best to change the city. But also you had different people trying their best to remove him from the city before he caused more problems for them. So we're going to cover a 3-part story arc where it's really more of now Nightwing having to deal with an old character he has not seen in a good while. And that would be, well, you'll see here in a moment. Now, I should say that this story might be done very quickly, and the reason why, because the first chapter, issue number 9, is really more of us just seeing Nightwing swinging through Bludhaven. But while he is swinging, someone cuts the line while he's trying to swing across the city. And with that happening, he has no choice but to use the skills he had learned over the years from his parents and also Batman to save his life while he was falling. The thing is, he does fall right into the middle of a mall. Now, this mall, one of those malls where unfortunately most of the stores are closed down, and the few stores that are open are something like low-level merchandise. But either way, it was a trap because as soon as he lands inside the mall, it's just him right now dealing with all these different types of shooters who are trying to kill him. Now, for Nightwing, he knows how to escape, but the problem is that every single corner he hits, there's more shooters there waiting for him and trying to kill him off. Now, once you do have Dick Grayson being able to catch a breather, you have Dick Grayson be confronted by Two-Face. Now, for Two-Face, he's holding this young boy. Now, for Dick, he does recognize the boy. And the reason why, because in our last few videos, I had not mentioned this, but for Dick Grayson, he was having these nightmares where he was unable to save some boy who was falling to his death. And so right now, when he sees Two-Face, he's right now seeing the same young boy he saw in his dreams right now in front of him, but about to be dropped to his death. And you had Two-Face say, hey, listen, I'm gonna drop him. You have two choices. You can stop me, or you can save the life of this young boy. But this kind of leads us to learning what exactly is going on in this storyline. And the reason why I'm saying that, because Dick is unable to save the young boy's life. So he does fall to his death. But right after doing that, you have Dick be surrounded by different members of the Bat family. Now, this is where we can tell that there's something off with this storyline, because right now, the way the characters are drawn, like Batman, Robin, and Batgirl, they seem very scary-like or nightmarish-like. But also, there's Barbara Gordon. She's Batgirl. Around this time in DC Comics, if I remember correctly, she was Oracle. But that is when we learn the entire scene we saw in his first chapter was completely fake. And the reason why? Because Inspector Soames had called in Scarecrow, because for him, it's about time to deal with the Nightwing problem in Bludhaven. So why not bring in Scarecrow to kind of use his fear toxin as a way to play mind games with Dick, but also kind of get rid of him as well. But as we get into the next chapter, we're kind of getting into the idea of us seeing Dick Grayson being attacked by the fear toxin. And with the attack of the fear toxin, it's now him living through a nightmare. Now, with this nightmare for Dick, it's really more of him being married to Donna Troy, having 2 kids. Now, yes, I already know. Y'all like, wait, Fresh, that right there is not a nightmare. Yes, you're right, but let me explain why it is a nightmare, guys, before you go ahead and say, hey, Fresh, you're completely wrong. Because in this nightmare, Dick is not himself. You see, usually for Dick Grayson, he's always confident about himself. He's always ready for almost any type of situation. But in this nightmare, it's Dick right now being the complete opposite, where he's having a hard time just trying to survive in this nightmare with bills, being married, having kids, all these adult things attacking him all at once. He feels like he is failing. But on top of that, his neighbor is Bruce Wayne. And Bruce is married to Selina Kyle. But the thing is, both guys work at the same company. Both guys are in the same position, but Bruce is able to provide for himself and also for his wife, where Dick is not really able to do that. And for Donna, she has to work extra shifts at other places to kind of make ends meet. And really, as he goes through the nightmare, you really have Soames and also Scarecrow trying to figure out what kind of nightmare is Dick going through at the moment to kind of figure out what is he scared of. Now, in this nightmare Dick's living through right now, he does go over to the company he works at. And when he goes there, he's being completely put down by different people. Like, for example, he has to train his brand new boss, a position that he was hoping that he would get. And matter of fact, he believed that he deserved that position, but that position was given over to John Paul Valley, as we all know as Zor-El. And the nightmare does not stop there, because you also have Tim Drake there at that company, but of course a tad bit older, where he should be allowed to work at the company. And for Tim Drake, he's kind of like this work bully who's always putting Dick down. Really, everyone there except for maybe like Bruce Wayne, they're all bullies at work. They bring this man down, but also he now feels hurt that the position that he was hoping to get is no longer his. And for Dick Grayson, he has nobody to talk to. Like, for example, when he tries to go talk to Donna Troy, she's kind of like, no, it's your fault. It's you not going out there and putting your foot down and showing that you deserve the actual position. You're basically being a pushover. Now, we also learn here for Donna, like I said earlier, she has to keep working extra shifts. But for Dick, he's kind of like, why are you always leaving? Why are you always working? But it's also him now having to take care of the kids. Now, when he goes over to his wife's job to see her, you have her boss say like, hey, she ain't here. Like, she's not on the schedule, and I have no idea where she is at. But let me tell you right now, I don't care, because she's not my wife. And when you have Dick go to work, you do have his boss kind of realize like, hey, he's going through something. He needs somebody to talk to. But his boss is all like, hey, listen, take your problems to your house, and once you have dealt with your problems, then come back over to work again. Thank you. Bye. And once you do have Dick get back home, he learns that Donna Troy has been cheating on him with Wally West. And so for Wally and Donna, they're kind of like, hey, you are a loser. You are a failure. Like, look at you. You're not really able to provide for your family, to take care of yourself. And so you have Dick just run out. But there was always one person who was kind of nice to him, and that would be Bruce Wayne. Now remember, Bruce and Dick, they both work at the same company. They both were in the same position, but Bruce got an even higher position than John Paul Valley had received. And so once he does go see Bruce Wayne, it's really more Bruce saying like, Dick, you're scared of failing. Like, you're scared of failing yourself, but also failing people around you, because you have Bruce Wayne call in his son, one of Dick Grayson's sons, and basically pushes the son out the window, allowing Dick to try to save his son, but unfortunately he fails once again, like he did in the last chapter. It's really more Dick kind of realizing that that's his fear, the fear of failing, the fear of losing when it comes to handling different situations. But once you do have Dick Grayson being able to regain his mental strength, he's then able to finally fight back against Scarecrow. And so for Scarecrow, he still believes he has the upper edge on Dick. Not anymore, because once you have Dick wake up, you have Dick being able to take down Scarecrow just like that. And so as we dive into the third chapter, it's really now us picking up with Inspector Soames waking up. Now remember, Inspector Soames was this police officer who at first Dick thought he could believe, but then over time kind of learned that no, he cannot. And matter of fact, when it came to Inspector Soames, he was working with Blockbuster, who was trying to become the brand new kingpin of Bludhaven. Now, with all that being said, once you do have Inspector Soames wake up, he realized that Scarecrow is in his apartment because Dick Grayson brought him there, left him there all tied up. But you also have Scarecrow say, hey man, so listen, he knows everything. Like, he beat me down so much, I had no choice but to go ahead and tell him everything I already know. And so for Soames, he kind of knows he now has to leave Bludhaven, but at the same time, he needs some protection. Now, for Dick Grayson, he's not really able to make a move on Soames just yet. The reason why, because the fear toxin is still doing a number to his mind. As a matter of fact, once you do have Dick Grayson get back home to his apartment, well, when he arrives, his landlord, Bridget, wants to see him because remember, these two characters have now begun a relationship with one another. And so now he has to go ahead and open the door and try to play off the fact that he's not completely well. But now we jump back over to Soames, and when we do, it's really more Soames heading over to Chief Redhorn. And here's the reason why, because originally it was Chief Redhorn who told Soames like, hey, we have a vigilante problem in Bludhaven now. I need you to handle that problem. And technically Soames was trying to, but the problem was Soames was also working for Blockbuster. And so it's Redhorn saying, no, there's no way I'm going to help you at all. And matter of fact, you have 12 hours to get the heck out of Bludhaven before I turn you over to internal affairs. And so now it's Soames kind of realizing that he might be on his own here. But while that's going on for Dick Grayson, you still have Dick trying his best to play out the fact that he's not completely well. Now for Bridget, she kind of realized that he is sweating a lot, that he does not look well at all. And so she's kind of like, hey, listen, I think you need some rest. It does seem like you're coming down with something. Don't worry, I'll come back later on with some tea. It's her trying her best to be a good friend or a good lady friend. Either way, for Dick Grayson, this works out well because now he's been able to get some rest. Now, this is Soames kind of realizing that technically he's on his own here, that he has no allies left in Bludhaven because he tries his best to head over to Blockbuster, but when he gets over to Blockbuster building, he's then confronted by 3 people, and these 3 guys work for Blockbuster, and they tell Soames like, you are a problem now that Blockbuster no longer wants around, technically saying like, we're no longer allies, and matter of fact, if any of my guys see you, I told them to kill you. So these 3 guys, they tried their best to kill off Soames, but Soames was able to get the upper hand on them and protect himself. Now for Dick Grayson, he does go back out in the middle of the night to go see Soames. And so he does go over to the apartment. Now he does find Scarecrow. And he's kind of hoping that maybe, just maybe, that Scarecrow can kind of give the information that Dick needs to create a cure for the fear toxin that Scarecrow had given him. But unfortunately, you have Scarecrow say no. But luckily for Dick Grayson, Bludhaven PD arrives for Soames, but Soames is not there, but at least Scarecrow is, and so you had Dick leave just in time to allow the police to take Scarecrow away. Now for Dick Grayson, he kind of knows where Soames is going to, over to St. Anthony's. Now St. Anthony is actually a church/nursing home. And right now for Blockbuster, his mother is there. And he knew that Blockbuster would be there as well, visiting his mother. And so right now Soames kind of expressing that he's very upset with Blockbuster for not trying to help out. But it's Blockbuster saying like, listen, you try to go after Nightwing. And that right there is a problem because remember what you told me earlier in the storyline. Like, you know, do not kill off Nightwing. If you kill off Nightwing, it will bring Batman over here. But here you are trying to get rid of Nightwing, and as we all know, that'll bring Batman over here. I can no longer be connected to you if that actually happens. I don't want to deal with Batman. Now, for Soames, he hates what Blockbuster is telling him. And so for Soames, Blockbuster has to go. But at the very last second, you have Dick Grayson arrive. And this kind of leads into a huge fight scene where you do have Soames try to shoot Blockbuster. You also have Blockbuster kind of show Dick Grayson that he has hostages as well to kind of keep Dick busy long enough to allow Blockbuster to go after Soames. By the end of this battle, Blockbuster does get shot 6 times. He does survive, but for Soames, you have Blockbuster grab his head and turn his head completely around, kind of leaving us wondering if Soames is dead. Now, you do have Dick Grayson leave, but as Dick Grayson is leaving, he does see Blockbuster be transported over to an ambulance, over to a hospital. But what he does not see is that Soames is technically still alive. But this is where we're going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, see y'all next time. Later.